بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
الحمد لله حمدا كثيرا طيبا مباركا فيه كما يحب ربنا ويرضى. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله الناصح الأمين. اللهم صل على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين ومن تمسك بسنته إلى يوم الدين. ثم أما بعد. Alhamdulillah ala ni'mat al-Islami wa sunnah. All praise and thanks belong to Allah for guiding us to Islam and for guiding us to the sunnah. And another installation in the benefits during the 2020 pandemic series, we want to look at something which is of tremendous importance, especially now that there are many who are under quarantine, others who are in a state where they have stay-at-home orders, or in a region where they have stay-at-home orders and or quarantine and the like. So it's incumbent that we benefit from our time. And it's incumbent that we benefit from our time and that we take full advantage of even this situation. Because you find this is the way of the believers, is that they always take advantage and they benefit from whatever situation that they are in. Whether it is good, then they utilize that opportunity to show thanks unto Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that is better for them. If they are put into a situation of difficulty, then they utilize that opportunity to exhibit patience and anticipation of the reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that is better for them. So, alhamdulillah ala kulli hal, all praise and thanks belong to Allah in every situation, Naam. Imam bin Baz, rahimahullah ta'ala, he gave some tremendous advice to the believers, and a piece of that advice was, as the Imam he mentions, he says, وَعَلَى الْمُسْلِمْ أَيْضًا أَنْ يَجْتَهِدَ فِيمَا يُصْلِحُ دُنْيَاهُ كما يجتهد فيما يصلح أو في صلاح دينه. He said, is that a Muslim, he has to take full advantage in those things that would rectify his worldly affairs. That a Muslim must also take advantage, and he must also work hard and be diligent and strive after rectifying his worldly affairs, just like he strives to rectify his religious affairs. And also salah ahli baytihi, and he has to strive to rectify or work hard and be very diligent in the rectification of the members of his household. Naam. فَأَهْلُ الْبَيْتِ لَهُمْ حَقٌّ عَلَيْكَ, because the people of the house, O Father, they have a right over you. Naam. So all of the fathers out there, all of the head of households, then know for a surety that the people of the house, they have a right over you. Naam. Haqqun alayka kabir. They have a big right over you. Naam. So it's important that all the fathers, they pay attention and they open up their ears and the like. And likewise the mothers as well. But we want to direct this first and foremost to the fathers. Naam, to the fathers. So just like we strive to rectify our deen, we have to strive to rectify the affairs of our dunya as well. We have to strive after that which will benefit us. Naam. And bila shak wa bila raib, from the greatest things in which an individual has to strive to maintain the rights and the establishment of the rights and the fulfillment of the rights, then first and foremost they are upon those who have rights over them, now meaning their families, those who are entrusted to them. Now, so it is incumbent upon the father that they take this situation very serious. And now that we are in this state of quarantine or stay-at-home orders and so on and so forth, right? The fathers now, they have an opportunity to spend a little more time around the house, an opportunity to spend a little more time around the children, an opportunity to really put forth an effort to rectify the family even more so than when they are busy with work and they are tasked to go out and seek halal employment and so on and so forth, which will take them outside of the house for many hours of the day, which will take them outside of the house for many hours of the day. So now we have an opportunity that many of the fathers are home now. So now this is that time to sit with your children and to speak with them. This is that time to sit with your spouse, Juyaanee, and to speak with them. This is that time to look after those things perhaps that you didn't have time to look after before, or you couldn't go into the depth before, that you can now go into because you have the time to go into it. So it is incumbent that the men, they understand this, that they have, that their families have a big right upon them. Their wives have a big right upon them. Their children have a big right upon them. It is tremendous. The Shaykh, he says that he has to strive and work hard, very diligently in rectifying them. وَتَوْجِيهِهِمْ إِلَى الْخَيْرِ, and to direct them to do good, to call them to good, direct them to good, point them in a direction of good, give them good guidelines, good advice. Now, this is a time now where the father, they have a better opportunity to do that, a better opportunity to sit and to listen, by way in which they can gather the information needed so that they know exactly how to respond, exactly what direction to approach, and the right approach. Now, the right approach. So I implore the fathers to take this time, take this opportunity to do this. And likewise, the mothers as well, to take this time and take the opportunity to do this, to go over with their children the basics of the religion. Don't say to yourself, oh, they know it. No. Go over the basics of the religion with them. Go over the meaning of the Shahada with them. Go over the Arkanul Islam. Go over the 5 pillars of Islam with them. Go over the Arkanul Iman. Go over the pillars of Iman with them. Go over what is Ihsan with them. Naam, go over these affairs of the deen with them. Go over the affairs of the deen that they need. Make sure that they know. Make sure the children, they know the adhkar that they're supposed to say inside the salah. Make sure that they are reciting Fatiha correctly. Make sure that they know how to pray in the manner in which the Prophet ﷺ, he taught us how to pray, so on and so forth. This is an opportunity now, and these is a time where these things can be done as a family, where everyone sits and they go over it together. Everyone sits and they learn adhkar together. Everyone sits, and perhaps if those who don't know tashahhud, now that they go over the tashahhud and they teach them and they learn, and so on and so forth. This is an opportunity. Now, how long individuals have been Muslim? How long individuals have accepted Islam? And after all that time, you have some individuals, they still don't know what how to say tashahhud in the prayer. They still don't know the dua istiftah inside of the prayer, the opening dua inside of the prayer, so on and so forth. So this is an opportunity now that you have time. This is an opportunity now to learn these things. This is an opportunity now to attain these things. This is an opportunity now to go over these things and to go over the meanings and what they mean and have understanding and so on and so forth. So you have some time now. And it's incumbent that we do this because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he tells, and this is the reality. This is the reality. Allah ta'ala, he tells us inside of his noble book, Ya ayyuhalladina amanu qu anfusakum wa ahlikum nara. وَقُودُهَا النَّاسُ وَالْحِجَارَةُ. Allah Ta'ala, he tells us inside of his noble book, O you who believe, Now this is an address to those who have iman, to those who have faith, to those who believe. Naam. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling them, O you who believe, save yourselves and your families. Save yourselves and your families. قُوا أَنفُسَكُمْ وَأَهْلِيكُمْ نَارًا. Save yourselves and your families from a fire. Save yourselves and your family from a fire. This fire, what is the uqud of this fire? Because fires, they have that which fuels them. You understand? They have that which fuels them. Now, that which gets them to roaring, to rage. That's which will stoke the fire. What is the fuel for the fire? What is the fuel for the hellfire? Nas wal hijara. An-nasu wal hijara. Human beings, from the men and the jinn, and the stones, the idols. Naam. This is the fuel for the fire. So it is incumbent that we protect ourselves and our families from this fire so that we do not become fuels for this fire. Naam. So this is an opportunity now that we can check the route, we can check the course. And if we find that we need some adjustment to the course, we need some course corrections, now this is the time to make those corrections so that you check and you see your families, what direction are they going towards? Are they going towards the direction of the Jannah, or are they going towards the direction of the fire? Are they, have they adopted the characteristics of the people of the Jannah, or have they adopted the characteristics of the people of the fire? This is an opportunity now that an individual can sit back and he can look. He can look. And likewise, the woman, the wife, she can sit back and she can look. She can see and make the proper and the appropriate course corrections as needed. The Shaykh goes on and he says, فَعَلَيْكَ أَن تَجْتَهِدَ فِي إِصْلَاحِ أَهْلِ الْبَيْتِ. He says, so it is incumbent that you work very hard and you're very diligent now in the rectification of the people of the house. Now, whom and who are the people of the house? Who are the people of the house? So an individual, they will know who are they? Whom zawjatuk, and that is your wife. Naam, zawjatuk. She is from the people of the house. Wa awlad. Naam, and the children. Dhukur wal inath, the boys and the girls. Naam, the boys and the girls. This understanding that some people from a backwards culture, right? And it's a backwards culture, it's not from Islam. This is not from that which we are taught in the deen of Islam, but it's from people's backwards cultures where they give precedence to the boys over the girls. Now, they give precedence to the boys over the girls. So they make so the boys will learn and they don't pay no attention to the girls. This is from a person's backwards culture. But it is incumbent upon the man to make sure the girls are learning just as they're making sure the boys are learning. Because the reality of it is that those girls, if they are taught, if they're educated correctly, then these girls, they're going to be a tremendous benefit for the ummah. They're going to be a tremendous benefit for the ummah because the women, they are the teachers of the next generation. Now, ala kulli hal. So they are the children. Na'am wa awladuk, and your children. Dhukur, al-dhukur wal-inath, the boys and the girls, the males and the females. Na'am wa ikhwanik, and they're also your وهم والإخوانك, and they're also your brothers. Na'am, so your siblings, they also enter into the people of the house if they're there in your house. But also you make sure you look out, you make sure that your brother, they upon what is correct, your sister, she's upon what is correct, so on and so forth. Na'am, فجميع أهل البيت تجتهد في تعليمهم, all of the people of the house, then you have to look to make sure that they are learning. You have to look to make sure that they are learning. Now, and I want everyone to understand this. Everyone who is in the house, it is everyone's responsibility to make sure they're looking out for everybody else. Now, so now it's on the father. No, bila shakku bila raib. It's on the father to make sure that everyone is learning. Naam, bila shakku bila raib. It's also on the mother to make sure everyone is learning because they're going to be asked about the children. But likewise, the children, you have to understand that you're going to be asked about yourselves. You're going to be asked about those who you had the ability to help, whether or not you help them or not. You're going to be asked about those from your siblings, whether did you call them to good, or did you forbid them from evil, or did you help them upon evil and you didn't remind them about good? So everyone should have a vested interest in everyone else because we all in this together. So we should make sure that everyone is learning. So everyone is making sure everyone else is benefiting and being upon that which is correct. And then you have a family as a whole of environment. You make an environment where everyone is helping everyone to do good and to be upon good. And like this, everyone will bi'idhnillahi ta'ala attain good. So it is incumbent that as families we take this into our upon ourselves, and that we don't sit on our hands and say, oh, that's for so and so to do it, and if they don't do it, then okay, I guess it won't get done. No, it's too important for that. These things are too important. If it came down to it for cooking dinner, for example, they say, no, it's this one's job to cook dinner. They don't cook dinner. No one's going to eat. No one's going to go for that. There's going to come a point where someone's going to take it upon themselves to make sure that the food is prepared. Now, so if this is the case as it relates to your stomach and how you deal with your stomach, then what about how you deal with your soul? What about how you deal with yourself? You're going to work with yourself like this? We're going to let yourself go hungry from that which you really need. You're going to let your soul go hungry from that which you really need. You're going to expose yourself to that which will destroy you. In reality, no way. If you're going to care about your stomach, then even more so you should care about the whole of your person and your soul. Ala kulli hal, someone has to step up. And in those cases where this one is not there, or this one is missing, or there's some deficiency, and so on and so forth, then everyone strive collectively to do what is right and to point each other in a good direction. This is how the families are rectified. This is how the families are rectified, by everybody working together towards that rectification. Now, على كل حال فجميع أهل البيت, all of the people of the house, تجتهد يعني في تعليمهم, you have to worry about teaching them. نعم وتوجيههم, and you have to worry about يعني pointing them in a good direction. وإرشادهم, you have to worry about giving them good guidelines and directives and so on and so forth. نعم, you father, that's what you got to worry about. But like as mentioned, everyone else too, yes, you worry about it as well, for yourself and for others. نعم وتحذيرهم مما حرم الله, and you have to warn them from that which Allah has made haram. لأنك مسؤول عنهم, because you are going to be asked about them. Father, you are going to be asked about them. Oh father of the house, you are going to be asked about them. نعم مسؤول, meaning you're responsible. نعم والمسؤول يعني it comes from su'al. It comes from su'al, that you're going to be asked about them. Su'al is a question. You're going to be questioned about the people of your house. That's why you mas'ul. Na'am, because you're going to be asked about them. And because you're going to be asked about them, then thus, therefore, you are responsible for them. Do you see the correlation now between? Na'am. لقول النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم, this is يعني due to the statement of the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم, كلكم راع, all of you are shepherds. All of you are shepherds. وَكُلُّكُمْ مَسْئُولٌ عَنْ رَعِيَّتِهِ, and all of you will be asked about his flock. All of you are shepherds, and all of you will be asked about your flock. Now, and I want you to understand this. All of you are shepherds, and you're going to be asked about your flock. فَالْإِمَامْ رَاعٍ, so the imam, he is a shepherd. نعم وَمَسْئُولٌ عَنْ رَعِيَّتِهِ, and he will be asked about his constituents. He will be asked about those who he is in charge over. Naam, so the imam, he is a ra', he is a shepherd, and he will be asked about those whom he is responsible over. And subhanallah al-azim, how ironic is it that you have many of the people who they will have the audacity to open their mouths about the Muslim ruler. Now, they will have the audacity to open their mouths about the Muslim ruler, what they doing, what they not doing, deficiency, so on and so forth. Now, and they, fought them for deficiencies and ruling by Allah's book. But yet, then they themselves, when it turns around over that which they themselves have authority over, don't even rule by Allah Ta'ala's book. You see the irony in that? You see, the foolishness as relates to that. Everyone is going to be asked about that which they are shepherd over. The imam, he will be asked about that which they are responsible over and that which they are shepherd over. Naam. But also the man, you think you're not ra', you think that you're free, you think you're not a shepherd, you think you don't have, you're not going to be asked about anyone under your care. وَالرَّجُلُ رَاعٍ في أهل بيته ومسؤول عن رعيته. And the man, he is a shepherd over the people of his house, and he will be asked about them. He'll be asked about those who are in his flock. So if you have a wife, you have children, people who live in your household, so on and so forth, you're going to be asked about them. So the same way that you have these concerns, these are for these misguided individuals. You have a concern that the ruler ruling the country by the book of Allah. You make sure you rule your house by the book of Allah. You're making sure the ruler rule a country by Allah's book. You make sure you rule your house by Allah's book. نعم, as Shaykh al-Bani, he used to say rahmatullah alayhi, تقوم دولة الإسلام في قلوبكم قبل أن تكون في أرضكم. Let the Islamic state, let the true country that's ruled by Islam be established in your heart. You got to establish it in your heart first before you see establish it inside the land. You understand? You task the rulers to make sure all of the households in the land is being run, and the whole of the land being run by the book of Allah, and you can't even run your one household by the book of Allah. Ya subhanallah. You want the ruler to enforce the Islam upon all of the women in the land, and you can't even enforce it upon your woman? You can't even enforce it upon your daughters? Yeah, subhanAllah. You see the irony, you see how people are misdirected and why so much calamity is added to calamity. Wallah musta'an. Well, likewise, the mar'ah, don't think you safe. No, what you mean? And the Prophet ﷺ, he said, وَالْمَرْأَةُ رَاعِيَةٌ فِي بَيْتِ زَوْجِهَا وَمَسْئُولٌ عَنْ رَاعِيَتِهَا. That the woman, she is a ra'iyah. She is a shepherdess. Naam. She's a shepherdess, so she is that's the word. She's a shepherdess in the house of her husband, and she'll be asked about her flock. She'll be asked about her flock, about those whom she is in charge over. Everyone will be asked about that which they are in charge in. And the servants, the domestic servants, then they also are shepherds. فِي مَالِ سَيِّدِهِ وَمَسْئُولٌ عَنْ رَعِيَّتِهِ. And they, as relates to the property of their employer, right, for lack of a better term, right, and they will be asked about that which they are in charge over. So everyone is responsible for something, and they're going to be asked about that which they are responsible for. ثم قال صلى الله عليه وسلم ألا كلكم راع وكلكم مسؤول عن رعيته. It says, and is it not except that all of you are shepherds, and all of you will be asked about that which you are responsible for. All of you are shepherds, and all of you will be asked about your flock. This hadith mutafiqun alayh, and it's from the hadith of Ibn Umar radiyallahu ta'ala anhuma. Ala kulli hal, it is incumbent that we take this time and we look after the affairs of our household. We take this time, we look after the affairs of our house, we look after the affairs of those occupants in the house. We make sure that we check in their religion. We make sure we check in that they understand correctly, so on and so forth. فَعَلَيْنَا. So it is upon all of us. And نَجْتَهِدَ فِي صَلَاحِهِمْ. It is upon all of us that we work hard in rectifying them, towards their rectification. من جهة الإخلاص لله في جميع الأعمال. That we have to make sure that we are looking to the rectification of everyone in the household as relates to their ikhlas. That they have ikhlas, that they have sincerity for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that they are establishing at tawheed. We have to make sure that the people of the household are establishing at tawheed, and we have to remind them of that. Remind them of the tawheed. Remind them that everything they do, it has to be for Allah. Remind them to seek the face of Allah when they do what they do from the righteousness. Remind them to seek after the reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when they do their righteousness. Remind them to do it fi sabilillah, and Siddiq fi mutabi'ah, and also to be truthful in their following of who? Of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. That they are truthful in their following of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam. We have to look to our households and encourage them and remind them and make sure they are rectified as relates to ikhlas والمتابعة, that they are rectified as relates to their sincerity and of their following of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. To put it in other words, at-tawheed was sunnah. We have to make sure that they are establishing at-tawheed was sunnah, that what they're doing it upon the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This is of tremendous importance. Wal iman bihi, and belief in him. Proper belief in Allah, in His angels, in His books, in His messengers, in the Day of Judgment, in qadr khayrihi wa sharri, that we believe correctly. This is of tremendous importance. So this is where we come in, and now as a family we read, for example, Kitab al-Tawheed. We read, for example, the book of Tawheed by Imam Muhammad bin Abdul Wahhab, or we read any of the books, Usul al-Sunnah by Imam Ahmad, Lum'at al-I'tiqad, so on and so forth. That we read through the books of I'tiqad, we read through the books of Tawheed, the books of the real, authentic and true Aqidah, that which the Prophet ﷺ and the Sahaba they were upon. That we read these books with our families. Thalathatul Usul, the three fundamental principles, Qawaid al-Arba', the four fundamental principles, so on and so forth, Kashf al-Shubuhat, removing of the doubts, so on and so forth. That we read through these books and that we benefit from them, that we learn. What is the Aqeedah of Ahlul Sunnati wal Jama'ah? This is of tremendous importance. وَمِنْ جِهَةِ الصَّلَاةِ, and also as relates to their prayer, وَغَيْرُهَا, And other than that, مِمَّا أَمَرَ اللَّهُ سُبْحَانَهُ وَتَعَالَى بِهِ. And other than that, from what Allah Ta'ala, He commanded us to do. So we have to make sure the salah is on point as aforementioned. Make sure that we're praying our prayers. Encourage each other to pray our voluntary prayers. To pray the sunnah prayers. To pray something from Qiyamul Layl. And to encourage one another as relates to it. To encourage one another as relates to it. So that the wife is waking up the husband waking up the wife, the children waking up the parents waking up the children, so on and so forth. That we encourage each other into establishment of these things. And especially now that we're in this quarantine and stay-at-home orders, because hey, what else? I mean, well, you busy? You busy right now? You got to get up early next morning? Nah, I'm going to pray Fajr, but after that, you got to leave the house and do something? No, you don't. So you know what? You can pray a little longer at nighttime now. You understand what I'm saying? So ala kulli hal, it is incumbent upon us that we strive to make sure we're rectifying and helping each other. وَمِنْ جِهَةِ الْبُعْدِ عَنْ muharimillah, and we also have to make sure that we're staying away from the prohibitions. We're staying away from the prohibitions of Allah. This is the time to make sure we're staying away from the prohibitions of Allah. For you, for the youth, for the adults, for everyone. This is the time to make sure we get ourselves right, we rectify, we increase in istighfar, we increase in making tawbah unto Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, returning back to the deen. For those who are away from the deen, this is an opportunity. And if this is not something that's going to get you to return back to your deen, Allah musta'an. If death is not enough for a reminder, then Allah musta'an, the person, Allah musta'an, what could you say about them? If death is not enough as a reminder, the uncertainty of life and your mortality, we're living in a situation where the elderly are dying. We live in a situation where the middle age are dying. We live in a situation where the youth are dying. We live in a situation where even babies and newborns are dying, all from this ailment. All from this ailment that Allah Ta'ala He has sent down upon mankind as a punishment for the disbelievers and a mercy for the believers. This is the reality. But if this is not enough to get you and to remind you, this is not enough to remind you to rectify your fear. This is not enough to remind you that you can die anytime like anybody else can die. Where as soon as you open up the paper, you see how many more people than died yesterday. The death toll, it goes up, it goes up, it goes up every day. More people dying, thousands of people dying every day in the world. Subhanallah. Millions of people now afflicted with this ailment in the world. And from those people who are afflicted, a percentage of them who's going to die from it. And you can be next. You can be next. If this is not enough to remind you to get yourself in order, to rectify yourself, and to get yourself straight before you meet your Lord, then I don't know what it is that's going to remind you. I don't know. Allahu musta'an. Ala kulli hal, this is the time to make sure we get far away from the haram. Get away from that haram. If you have some haram you was messing with, then drop it. It's the perfect time to drop it. This your perfect excuses, they say. It's your good excuse right now to drop it. People dying from this stuff, man. You got to drop it because you know what? Death coming anyway. على كل حال فعلى كل واحد, it is upon everyone من الرجال والنساء النصح. They have النصح في أداء ما يجب عليه. It is it's upon every man and every woman that they have sincerity and earnestness and carrying out and performing that which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made wajib upon them. Now, it is incumbent upon everybody, from the men, from the women, to make sure that they are diligent and sincere and perform that which has been made wajib upon them earnestly, in earnest. Now, real for real, not playing around with it. Take it serious. It is incumbent. It really is incumbent. Now, when you pray, make sure you're fully attentive inside of the prayer. You're fully attentive inside of the prayer, that you're reflecting. You remember who you're standing in front of. You understand? You remember who you're standing in front of. You remember that opportunity when you're in sujood, when the slave is in sujood, they're closest to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is the time to beg Allah. This is the time to beg Allah and to beg Allah and to beg Allah that He rectify you. Ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to save you from the evils of yourself. Ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to rectify your soul. Ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to cleanse you from your sins and transgressions. Ask that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He forgive you and He pardon you. This is the time now. If not now, then when? When are you going to do it? Now, you're going to do it when you're dead, when you're in the grave? That's when you're going to catch up on stuff? It's going to be too late then. It's going to be too late. فالمرأة عليها أن تجتهد. The woman, she got to work hard. والرجل كذلك. And the man too, you got to work hard. إذ صلاح البيوت من أهم الأمور. Because the rectification of the houses, this is from the greatest of the affairs. Ma'am, rectification of the houses is from the greatest of the affairs. And house will not be rectified, a country, a land, it will not be rectified unless the houses of that land are rectified. You understand? The family being the smallest social structure, you can look at the health and gauge the health of a society by looking at the health of the family. So that society will not be healthy unless what? Unless the families are healthy. Unless the families are healthy. Do you understand? So the rectification of the homes, this is from the greatest of the affairs. Now, this is from the greatest of the affairs on a sociological, on a social level, from the greatest of the affairs. But also as individuals, this is from the greatest of the affair, because if your house becomes rectified, who was the first one to benefit from that? The people in the house, right? If your household becomes rectified, the first people to benefit from the rectification of that house are the occupants of that house. So this is Juyaanee, subhanAllah, extremely important. And if your house is not rectified, the reality of it is that what? The rectification of your next door neighbor house, you're not really going to feel so much the effects of that. You understand? You're not really going to feel so much the effects of that. So it behooves everyone to worry about and concern themselves with the rectification of their homes first and foremost. And then let that spread outside the house to the rectification of others. Now, save yourselves and then your families from a fire. Because if you're not saved, how are you going to save others? The one who is deprived of something, he's not going to be able to get it. You understand? It's a basic concept. This is a basic concept. You have to save yourself in order to be able to save others. That's why when the plane loses pressurization and so on and so forth, and the oxygen masks come down, what do they tell you? Make sure you put yours on first before you're going to help others. You understand? Because if you don't put yours on and you're trying to help others put theirs on, and then now you done passed out because you was trying to help somebody else, but you ain't helped them. You ain't get a chance to help them because you passed out before. Now what's going to happen? Both of y'all is done. Now, you understand? Now both of y'all is done because you done passed out. They ain't got theirs on. Now they about to pass out. Now who wins? Nobody. But if you rectify yourself, you put your own oxygen mask on first. Now you can breathe. Now you can help a whole bunch of people. You understand? So we have to strive with rectifying ourselves and then rectifying those who are around us, and first and foremost, our families. During this quarantine, this is from the ways in which we have to employ to benefit, because this is what we have to do to benefit in this world, period. If you want to benefit in this world and you want to see good in the hereafter, then you have to be concerned with the rectification of yourself and the rectification of your family. Because at the end of the affair, remember, the fuel of the fire is men and stones. The fuel of the fire is men and stones. So now you got to ask yourself, the question is, do you want to be one of those men that's from the fuel of the fire or not? Do you want your family to be from those human beings who is from the fuel of the fire or not? Because the reality of it is that what the fire is going to be fueled by humans and it's going to be fueled by the stones. The question is, are you going to be from that fuel or not? أسأل الله تعالى أن يوفقني لما يحبه ويرضى وأسأل الله تعالى أن ينفعنا بما سمعنا وأن يجعله حجة لنا ولا علينا ربنا زدنا علما إن شاء الله تعالى. إلى اللقاء. Till next time we meet. نكتفي بهذا القدر. وصلى الله وسلم على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين وجزاكم الله خيرا.